one needs enemies when you have siblings like Ifunanya's aunties and uncles? Hello, Shamaka here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a particular trending story, a testimony. She calls it a testimony, and it has been trending on TikTok. I don't know if that's gotten to YouTube, if it's on YouTube, but I'd just like to do a 7 key takeaway on the Ifunanya's testimony. It's a trending topic on TikTok, and I would implore you to go and check it out. But then I'm going to do a backstory so some of you could understand the point I'll raise here. I have 7 key takeaways from this testimony, but let's get into the backstory first. Ifunanya's dad is a US citizen, and in the year 2017 or 2019-ish, he decided to retire back to Nigeria after serving in New York for 25 years. He came back to Nigeria for his retirement. During 2017 or 19 to 2020, everything was good. He was in communication with his family, and I think he gave his credit card to his daughter to be sending him money in Nigeria. Yeah, I can't really remember, but she was sending him the social security money and also his pension, which amounts to about 5,000 USD every month. So a little bit around 2020, Ifunanya realized that her communication with her dad has diminished drastically. Even though before then, she said that her dad had stroke. She had told her dad to come down to the US to get proper medication, and the dad said no, he's fine. He's going to get treatment here in Nigeria, and Ifunanya obliged. So for 6 months, she noticed that she hadn't spoken to her dad. Anytime she calls her aunt to talk to her dad, she would make up excuses. Oh, I'm downstairs cooking. Oh, he went for a walk and everything. So she found out that she hadn't spoken to her dad at all. There was no communication, and I think her dad's number was not going through or something too. Meanwhile, in the US, she was always having dreams about her dad. Not good dreams though. Not good dreams. So she decided to come down to Nigeria to find out for herself what is happening, to see if her dad is okay, because the Holy Spirit led her to come down to Nigeria. Take note that she didn't tell anybody that she's coming to Nigeria. She took them by surprise. On arriving in her father's compound in Nigeria, in Anambra State, the aunt and the younger brother of her father, they were fighting her, cussing her out and everything. It was a very big war getting to her dad. Her aunt and the brother, they went, oh, he's not in Anambra, he's in Abuja with another brother of his, Uncle Chris. So she didn't believe it. She didn't believe it. She was like, my dad is sick, he has stroke. How is he able to travel 9 hours to Abuja all the way from Anambra? That's okay, this was even after a lot of youths and villagers had gathered, because there was an uproar in the compound. They wanted to know what was happening, and then when they heard that the uncle and the aunt was refusing to allow a firstborn daughter of an Igbo man is being refused to access her father's compound, everybody was like, she has as much rights in this compound as anybody, so she can come into the compound. So Ifunanya was like, okay, let's go upstairs in my father's house to check if my dad is actually there or not. And the aunt was like, there's no need to go upstairs and everything, and it was late in the night and everybody wanted to leave, and Ifunanya was like, no, let's just check it. You people said I'm allowed to come into my father's house, right? Compound, right? Then why can't I go in my father's compound? And they said, okay, you have the right to go into your father's compound. At this point, there are police officers there, and the youth of the village has gathered. So she went with the youth leader and the police officer upstairs to go and check if her father was there. And what she saw was, according to her, was the most heartbreaking sight that she had ever seen. She described it as a Nollywood horror movie. So she saw her dad deteriorated. His health was badly, like very deteriorated. He had lost so much weight. It was more of bones. He had outgrown hairs. He had his bears, all his hair was outgrown, like grown out, very unkept. His fingernails were so long. It's obvious that he wasn't being taken care of. And she spoke to her dad. When she saw her father in that situation, she said that she was going to take her dad out of there. But the Holy Spirit told her not to take him out today, that day. So it became a physical war, a spiritual war, a legal war to get our dad out of that situation. This is as far as I can get. It's currently an 18-part series of our testimony. It's on TikTok. I don't know if it is on YouTube. You can go in and watch it and maybe catch up and then come back to this video, or you can just finish the video and then go and watch the testimony. I am going to go into the 7 key takeaway from that testimony. The 7 key takeaway that I got from that testimony. Stay tuned. My number 1 key takeaway from Ifunanya's story is to lean into the Holy Spirit. Girl, I need you to make a series on how you were able to develop that kind of relationship with the Holy Spirit. And not only know that, okay, you know that sometimes you hear voices or you have intuition and stuff like that, and you think, oh, maybe it's just me that is thinking about it and everything, like it's probably just me. How did you know that it is the Holy Spirit? How were you able to like know, okay, this is the Holy Spirit and this is not my own thoughts? How were you able to get that close to be able to like talk to the Holy Spirit so much? But anyways, lean into the Holy Spirit. I feel like if you want to have a relationship with the Holy Spirit, you need to find a way to develop it. You need to read the words, pray to God to give you, ask for the Holy Spirit to be your friend. Yes, if you ask, it's going to be around you. But then it's not about listening to the hearing the Holy Spirit. It's about, do you obey? How was she able? Like I got from that a testimony that I should try to obey the Holy Spirit. I should try to obey when the Holy Spirit is talking to me. Like even when it doesn't make sense, because honestly, it didn't make sense that she was going to leave her dad that first night. Somebody like me, even if I've been told, or I hear a voice somewhere in my head telling me, do not take your dad, leave your dad there. There is no way that I will not take my dad out of that place. There is no way. I mean, no, if before I watched this testimony, I would have been like, no, I'm not sure this is the voice of the Lord. I'm going to take my dad away from this place. There were so many things that she did that would make you understand that, oh my God, a normal human being is not going to go this way. At the end of the day, she got victory. And that is to show you that it was actually the way God wanted it. And she listened and obeyed. Lean into the Holy Spirit. Listen to the Holy Spirit. Listen to the Holy Spirit. It was so hard for me to understand. It was so hard, but at one point I got it. When the video started going, like the series was going on, I now understood why it was important that she listened to the Holy Spirit. You see that phrase, that blood is thicker than water. It doesn't always work like that. Don't allow anybody gaslight you. If your blood is about to kill you, you look for a way and cut them off. Go no contact. Nobody's going to judge you. Nobody is going to judge you. You people stay in toxic relationships with your siblings because they trip you into thinking, oh, you shouldn't cut off your blood relative because they are just your blood relative. Even when they are after your life, when they want to kill you, when it's obvious they're envious of you, they're jealous, you're covetous, you still stick around saying, oh, they're my blood relations, I can't cut them off. Please, blood is not always thicker than water. Blood is not always thicker than water. Imagine what Ifunanya's dad's siblings did to him. They left him out there. And it's so obvious that the only reason why that man is alive is because of the pension and the social security money that was coming in. If not, that man would have been dead. So please, I don't like this phrase and the way people uphold this phrase, blood is thicker than water. I mean, blood is definitely thicker than water, but it's not every time. Check very well if the water outside is thicker than the blood. Another key takeaway that I got from Ifunanya's testimony is to know God for thyself. To know God for thyself. Notice how throughout the testimony, Ifunanya never said, I went to my pastor, I went to this church group, I went to this blah, blah, blah. She didn't go anywhere. I told them to raise a prayer altar. The only people that she said I was praying for her were family members. That's her siblings and her mom. They raised a prayer altar. Ifunanya knew God for herself, had a relationship with God for herself. I don't know, I can't relate to this part, but some of us, it is pastor that prays for us. Any small thing, we don't try to pray for ourselves. We don't try to like fight for ourselves. We don't try to know God, have a relationship with God for ourselves. We have prophets for prosperity, prophets for protection, prophets for blah 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 blah. You cannot pray by yourself. You cannot stay by yourself. Like, it's not a problem for you to have a relationship with your pastor or have a spiritual father or a spiritual mother. That's not a bad thing. But when you're so heavily dependent on them spiritually that you cannot even say a prayer for yourself, there are some spiritual battles that only you can fight it. You are the only one that can fight it. This testimony has really implored me to know God for myself. Know God for thyself. That's one key takeaway. She was always talking about, oh God, the Holy Spirit told me to pray. I asked God, I did God, like I. That was the only thing that was what I was hearing throughout her testimony. I never heard I went to my father, to my pastor, I went to Papa, I went to Mama, I asked these people to pray for me. I went to the mountains. My pastor said I should buy white anki and 7 granules and stuff like that. She didn't say any of those things. She fought that battle by herself, spiritually. Yes, spiritually by herself. Know God for thyself. Number 4 key takeaway I got from Ifunanya's testimony is to treat all your kids equally, both genders. You know, African men, they have this attitude of prioritizing their sons over their daughters. Look at, if they are told that man that in this life that he would be in a very serious spiritual, physical health mess, and it was his daughter that would come and save him, he wouldn't have believed it. Show love to both genders. Show as much love that you show to your sons, to your daughters. You don't know the one that God is going to use to save you one day. I was watching this with a friend and he went, oh, where are the sons in this family? And I was like, well, according to Ifunanya said this was a personal call by God to save her dad. But that's why she didn't even reason any of her siblings. Oh, what about her siblings and everything? That it was a mission that was given to her personally by God. Show love. Imagine if Ifunanya did not have a good relationship with her dad, or if she had felt unloved or underloved by her dad because, oh, you are prioritizing the sons. Just imagine, your daughters are as important as your sons. Show love. Like, I've heard so many times, in fact, I've heard so many young people, young guys, my age may talk about, oh, I don't want daughters. Like, even if I want daughters, what will I use them to do? I've heard it so many times. I'm not talking about 1 person, 2 person, 3 person, 4 person. They go as far as saying, I don't want daughters. It's okay. Just show love to your daughters and sons equally. Thank you. Number 5 key takeaway is the fact that violence is not always the best answer. The fact that when Ifunanya got to her family house and they were trying to fight her or curse her out, and she didn't lay her hands on anybody or break bottle or break anything or anybody, That was a very, I don't want to go, that was something to learn from. Because somebody like me, ah, someone like me, I would have shown them Pepe. In fact, the part that took me out the most was when she was shouting, I will show you that the Spirit of the Lord is in me. I will show you that the Spirit of the Lord. Me, I would have been like, I will show you that madness is in me. I will show you crazy. I will show you that I was born in Oshodi and I've seen violence all my life, growing up as a child. That's what I would have said. I've come to the realization that violence, if Ifunanya's hands was physically and spiritually clean, that was so hard to wrap my head around, because I am this kind of person that will return violence with violence. Immediately you are showing me violence, immediately I am returning the gas with a ghost. But honestly, I have learned. That's another key takeaway, something I took out from that testimony. Except you're in the place that you have to like do your self-defense. Like there are some places that you need to be violent to violent take it by force. But you're in a situation whereby you know that violence can be avoided. Please don't always be violent. Even me, I'm talking to myself. Number 6 key takeaway: village people are real. Village people is real. Village people, and they can get you anywhere. See, all these people that say, oh, once you travel out to the US, to whatever, UK, whatever, that you will not know what is village people. That's a big lie. Pray that your village people don't remember you. Pray that your village people don't remember you. You can imagine when Ifunanya finally left with her dad to the US, you can imagine the series of attacks she was getting. She was seeing masquerades in her dream. That was a very heavy demonic attack. Do you know what it is to be seeing masquerade in her dreams? There was a time she said that, oh, she was so scared to sleep because of the kind of war that she goes through whenever she closes her eyes. She was always so scared to close her eyes until the Holy Spirit told her to pray Psalm 35. And after praying Psalm 35, that was when the aunt died a week after. After she came to the courthouse looking like she was looking so bad. She was looking so bad that the judge had to tell her to go and treat herself. And then before you know, they called her to tell her that our aunt had passed on. Village people are real. Hold your whatever, like hold God tight. Don't say, oh, I've crossed the border. Nobody has my time. Village people are real. Instead of people that say, oh, you think you believe in juju, juju is not real, blah blah blah, I pity you. Let your village people not remember you, then you will know that juju is real. Juju is real. Village people are real. Don't joke with them. Keep praying, like hold your, hey, I'm not saying you should fear village people, but you need to agree that they exist, and when things start happening in your life, you need to check that possibility that it is village people. Yes, there's a possibility you are African. You are African. There's a possibility that your roots, wetin dey worry you, it goes as far back as your roots. So you need to check that possibility too. Don't go and form work. Don't go and be doing work because you crossed the border. This final key takeaway is very important and something that is happening in our society, something that needs to be addressed. Entitlement. My 7th key takeaway, and it's very important, very, very important, is entitlement is a disease. The African society is so entitled. The African society is so entitled. See, covetousness, jealousy, envy, it doesn't start from overnight. It starts from being entitled. It begins from entitlement. Nobody owes you jack. The only people who owes you jack is your mom and your dad, because they were the one that brought you into this life without your permission. They are the one that owe you. They are the one that owe you. Nobody owes you jack. Your siblings' wealth is not your wealth. Your siblings' money is not your money. If they decide not to give you, take it with good faith. If they give you, be content with the one they give you. Don't go saying, oh, he has all that money and this is the only thing he wants to give me. Oh, he does this. It is entitlement that got us to this point. And it's so crazy, yeah, that when you go to the comment section, you see people who justifies what Ifunanya's dad's uncles and aunts did to him by saying, oh, maybe it's one of those people that when they travel out, they forget about home. If he was sending money home or sending money to his siblings, they wouldn't have done this to him. What? It's crazy. That level of entitlement is crazy. It's another person's money. Is it not the same head that God gave you that the person that God gave to the other person? Why are you so entitled to your siblings' money? Why are you so entitled to their wealth? Why? And this entitlement thing, because I saw one story, yeah, where they were saying, oh, it was Josephine that sent Ifunanya's dad abroad. I don't know, she hasn't debunked that or whatever. But even if you send somebody abroad, and so, because a lot of people have this idea that once you do something for people, you own them. They should cut their head and put it on your lap. I'm not saying you should not have an expectation if when you do something for people or for someone. Yes, have an expectation, but don't become entitled. Entitlement is a very big discussion in African society. And this entitlement, it goes deep. It goes deep. It even goes as far as our African parents. You see African parents make statements like, oh, I trained you in school. That is I'm now relating this to Ifunanya's Miss Aunt Josephine. I'm relating it to it. I trained you in school, so I'm going to choose what you're going to do in school. I have the right because I'm the one training you. They have entitlement is a very bad thing. In life, try not to be entitled. Even if you're going to help people because you want to help people. Don't help people because you were expecting something in return, or because you feel like I should be able to tell them this or that. You help somebody, the person goes out of the country and the person is sending you maybe some money from the state or wherever the person went to, and then you always feel like, oh, it's not enough after sending you to the abroad, and you literally want this person to drain out themselves financially before you are okay. You want them to pack all their money and give to you because you send them abroad. Now, I do not know if Auntie Josephine sent Ifunanya's dad abroad, but even if she sent him abroad, even if, does not warrant that man to be in that state. Does not warrant the man. Are you not sending the person abroad in order for the person to be a better person and be a better person for himself? Is that not the reason why we help the people we love? So entitlement is a disease, and please try not to allow it to possess you. It's hard not to be entitled. It's hard. You have to make conscious efforts not to be entitled. Oh, my sibling sent me 30,000 naira when she has over 300 million. It's not your business. Keep praying for God to bless you. Pray to God to bless you. When you make your own money, share it. I'm not an advocate for stinginess, no. But then, even when somebody refuses to help you, just don't feel bad. I mean, you can feel bad, but don't feel entitled to the extent that you want to hurt the person. Looking for every means possible to get that person's money. Leave the person for God and pray to God to bless you. There's nobody that God cannot bless. There's nobody that God cannot bless. I feel like I've dwelled on this last point for too long, but I hope I've been able to drive this point that entitlement is a disease, and it's a pandemic that is ravaging the African society. People are entitled to their siblings' money. People expect their siblings to do so much more what their parents cannot do for them. You expect your siblings to train you, train your children, train everything, train even your cockroach in your houses. Come on. Come on. And that's why poverty have refused to leave some homes. Because the one that tries to go up, every other person just latches on to the person and depends on the person and drag the person down. Please, let's eliminate entitlement in our society. Let's stop it. That is all for me today. If you want to watch the full story, you can go on our TikTok, our testimony. You can just search for Ifunanya's testimony on TikTok, or you can search for our handle. Our handle is at 6foot Amazon, and our name is Ifunanya. So you can watch the 18 parts currently, because it's still going on, 18-part series, and trust me, you'll be blessed. You'll learn a lot of things. You will be blessed. Honestly, the testimony blessed my soul. So you're going to be blessed. I'm so serious today, I know, because the matter that we are talking is very, very serious. Like my video, share my video, and subscribe to my YouTube channel because it's free. Subscribe. Loose powder. Bye.